In some ways, marriage is betting someone else half of your stuff that you will love them forever. Does our government have the responsibility to protect the sanctity of marriage? What you have to understand is what constitutes something as being sacred is by religious tradition. And since our government is meant to be separate from religion, United States, Britain, Canada, you take your lot of all the countries that do that, they separate government from religion. Governments who have religious freedom in their constitution don't consider a certain religion with them to make laws and protect the sanctity of things. To answer the question of when was marriage invented, we have to go back between somewhere of 1.8 and 5 million years ago. Back when humans were just barely branching off from apes. If you are very young or just unexperienced with the idea, proof that humans came from apes, you're probably asking yourself or me, why are there still apes around? It's because humans and apes both stemmed off of the same ancestor. These early humans had sex with many partners to produce as much offspring as possible. These early humans had sex with many other partners so that they could produce as much offspring as possible, just like many other species of primates or even just other animals, like the orangutan specifically. The orangutan male, there's one resident male who stays with a group of females that he claims as his mates for about 3 to 4 years, sometimes less, where he mates with as many of them as possible to try to get the most offspring as possible, and then after that he leaves. At this point in early human history, food was traded for sexual intercourse, and long-term partners were not an advantage at the time. So females could still carry their young while hunting for food, so the males didn't and the females didn't really need to be together to take care of the offspring. Then when the climate warmed enough, the early humans moved out of the savannas and were able to hunt for meat and eventually create tools to help them fight predators and use that meat. And eating meat helped females to give birth to their young earlier so that more time was required to raise them. Another primate, the monkey, has a less time to be raised. So when compared with a human baby and a monkey baby, the monkey baby actually learns faster than the human baby because the monkey baby has less time to be raised. But when humans are raised longer, they can develop more knowledge and be smarter than monkeys. The offsprings of the humans that were able to hunt meat were the ones who actually formed the first marriages. These marriages were not really like marriages today. They were more like pair bonding. Pair bonding is when two either of the same gender or of different gender species of primates come together so that they can hunt for food better, raise their offspring better, and usually lasts 3 to 4 years. And actually, fun fact, marriage in the United States lasts 3 to 4 years, which is the same amount of time as pair bonding lasts. 3,000 years ago, humans learned how to grow food, which meant they didn't have to be nomadic, which meant they didn't have to go searching for food everywhere. They could just stay in one place. And they would be able to build huts around the crops, and this is where the first community started. And when the plow was first invented, that meant that the women in the village could stay home and take care of the children while the men went and plowed the crops to feed everyone in the community. This was where the first recognized union of marriage was, because the people could not leave their crops because they would die. So they couldn't leave after their 3 to 4 years period was over. Men and women didn't have any desire to wander off and start new families because everyone was already in the community and they had already made offspring with a certain other pair, so then they were recognized as a couple, basically. The creation of marriage that we know today started when communities stayed together and it started to be like a social norm that people were together, that two people could be together and raise offspring together, and that marriage was a social norm. So if it was the social norm for men and women to stay together and to feed their offspring, then it became a law, because the civilization leaders would recognize the social norms and make the social norms laws so they could maintain order throughout the community. So marriage was invented because ancient humans saw the need to stay together so that they could produce more offspring and further the species.